Hello, welcome back to Frosthaven. This is episode 3 of the series. Episodes 1 and 2, we're playing through the first mission, kind of explaining the combat mechanics and rules and introducing the characters a little bit. For those of you who don't know or don't remember, we have Xenia Zephyr, named after my two cats, who are right next to me right now. I'm not sure if they're asleep or about to complain. Then we have Muck Duck, the drifter. Xenia Zephyr is a banner spear. She summons a banner and also throws spears at things for the most part. Some melee stuff too, a bit of tankiness. Flexible character. Muck Duck is a drifter who's kind of like a skirmisher. We've got, throw some knives, hit things with clubs, shoot a bow, tank a little bit, just a bit of everything. Some healing as well. We have Ch1Ep3, the Bone Shaper, who is an Easter necromancer from another plane. And we have Achilles Tamir, the Deathwalker, who really just wants to kill things. So that's fair. Why not? Okay. And we have just finished A Town in Flames. We arrived at the outpost at the end of winter, beginning of summer, and it was under attack. We've defended the outpost, and now we are walking inside. And the first thing that happens when you spend time at the outpost, I guess we've already walked inside and met the mayor and everything, and we're hanging out in the longhouse. Really, we should be like over here or something, I guess, instead of up here, but whatever. The first thing that happens every time you spend time at the outpost is that you get an outpost event. That's what I'm going to start with. Knock, knock. Mail call, open up. You open the door to find a grumpy quattrel with a low-riding sack of mail. She tosses a lumpy package wrapped in cord to you. No name, but this address. It's yours now. As she walks away, she snaps her fingers, remembering something. Oh, that's right, this too. She hands over a letter addressed to you. As she wanders off toward a drink, you rip the letter open to read a note scrawled in excellent cursive. Please do not open the package. We will retrieve it. Leonidas and Maximus. I think it's pretty reasonable to respect their request. We are, after all, an upstanding party of adventurers, are we not? Also, I guess we'll get to meet Leonidas and Maximus later, which will be interesting. I have seen this event before, but I haven't seen like where the. I'm assuming there's some sort of quest line with Leonidas and Maximus or something. I haven't seen where that goes yet. So, you tear open the. Wait. Respect their request, B. Against all the curiosity in your being, you refrain from opening the lumpy package. A short while later, two Easters dressed in drab yellow arrive at your door. Hello, mercenaries. We are Leonidas and Maximus, and we have come for our package. You hand it over, and they tear open the top, reaching much too deep inside to be obeying the laws of the universe. Out comes a large black diamond. The shadow gem. We have your payment as agreed. They hand you a sack of coins and then turn and leave, passing the diamond back and forth between them. Gain 30 collective gold. Okay, maybe I should have done the other one. Apparently, if you do it this way, you don't get a quest line. You just instantly get a bunch of gold, which I suppose is fine. This event is now done. We remove this event from the deck. We will never see it again. I don't know what would have happened if we did the top thing. Something. Game has some amount of replayability. With the Outpost event done, the next thing that happens is we go through the buildings, which are already active in the Outpost, and we do the things that they do. It's actually like, there's like a daytime phase where the buildings have some sort of like passive effect, and then there's kind of like the evening where your characters can go and do stuff at them. Like, at the Craftsman, I can't actually craft items right now, because at the moment we're doing the top part of the building card, but in the evening, we can craft items, I guess. Anyway, no effect from our Craftsman, no effect from our Alchemist, where we'll be able to brew a potion later. Our Workshop lets us potentially build a boat, sled, or climbing gear, but we don't have any reason to build those yet, so I won't. And our barracks lets us collectively train up to 1 soldier for 3 gold and 1 material resource. I thought about whether I want to do this or not. You may have noticed I have like my plan for the town phase written down over here already. I do have 3 gold and 1 material resource, but I think it's like a little... I'm very strapped for cash, as it were. Actually more for material resources than cash, especially since I just got 30 gold, which I'm going to give our drifter Muckduck. His retirement quest is Greed is Good. Have 80 plus 20 times L gold in your possession, where L is the prosperity level. So I'm just going to give all 30 gold to my drifter, and we'll see if we can get this retirement quest done in not too long. My prosperity level right now is 1, so I am 68 gold short, a third of the way there. But in fairness, like getting 30 gold from an event isn't going to happen every week or anything. I lied to you, by the way. Actually, the first thing that we do is we click that box to say that a week is over. Then we do the Outpost like event and everything. Cool. So I am not going to build a soldier. And that means I'm not going to do anything with the main phase of the buildings. The second thing that we do in an Outpost phase, and I think we actually have this written here, is we have downtime. So in downtime, our characters can use the buildings. Our characters will level up if they're ready to level up. Just in general, our characters can kind of mill around the town. So, for example, I would like my Deathwalker to go to the Craftsman, because I'm going to craft a bow. The Craftsman's over here. This is actually a little misleading because the Craftsman doesn't let you build the items that cost gold. I don't know how you do that. I think maybe it's tied to the retirement quest for my Banner Spear, who has to collect a certain number of items and then can like become a merchant. I'm thinking maybe it's that. But these are the items that I can actually build at the Craftsman. And their costs are not gold, they are material resources. So a crude bow, for example, costs 1 lumber to craft. My characters have to actually have the material resource to craft it. It can't be that the party has that material resource. So for example, I found 3 hides last mission, but they were all picked up by Muckduck, my drifter. So something like crude boots, which cost 2 hides to craft, perhaps I would want these. But none of my characters other than Muckduck can actually craft those. And Muckduck happens to already have winged shoes, so we already have boots for Muckduck. So, I looked through these already. I'm going to just like quickly mouse over them for people who are curious what they all are. You can pause and read if you feel so inclined. But I think my plan is just to grab a crude bow with Achilles, my Deathwalker. And the reason for that is I'm noticing that sometimes, like, my party has 4 characters in it, and maybe like a skeleton or 2, and a wraith and a banner. So the battlefield's getting a bit gummed up. And Achilles has 2. I'm just going to actually, we'll go ahead and buy this right now. I can click that button and teleport over here. That's nice. This is a 2-handed weapon, so I think I can put it here, and this equipment slot has the 2-hand icon to signify that if there's a 2-hand here, it's in use. I think that works. I think that's how I meant to do it. And it costs 1 lumber. So we have a couple of ranged attacks, but the one I was in particular thinking about was Forceful Spirits, which attacks 2 targets within 2 range. And this is a good damage card. It's not hard for me to have Dark available, so 6 damage for an attack is like very reasonable, quite good. However, I am finding that it's pretty difficult to be within 2 hexes of 2 targets, and it's often very restrictive on my positioning. So I figured if one of those attacks was at 2 range and the other was at 3 range, probably it's much easier to get the extra damage. And if that's giving me 3 extra damage sometimes, having this bow, that's actually very good. That's like a lot of damage. It's also It's nice that it's cheap. It only costs 1 lumber, which isn't too bad at all. And it's nice, well, I don't know about nice, but it's exciting to me that this is called Crude Bow. Because the number of items I have unlocked right now pales in comparison to the 455 card deck of locked items, which I don't have unlocked right now. This game has like sort of like a tech tree almost for items. And given that this is called Crude Bow, I think there's a pretty good chance that I'll be able to upgrade it at some point later in the campaign into a better type of bow. And, you know, grab it now, keep it around, and maybe I will have a chance to upgrade it later. I also wanted to craft a potion. So if I remember right, my Ether Bone Shaper, whose name is Ch1Ep3, right? Yeah. Was the one who had most of the crafting ingredients, so I'll head to the alchemist to do that. The alchemist's really fun. The game doesn't tell you what you get by crafting potions until you've tried. So I have snow thistle and rockroot. I have 1 rockroot, 2 snow thistle, and so I'm going to use a rockroot and a snow thistle. I'm going to combine them, and we're just going to see what we get. We got a renewing potion. And it says during your turn, you can refresh up to 2 of your spent items. And it's 1 out of 2. So I can have up to 2 of these built. I think I've thought about this with renewing potion before and never bothered to look it up, but a thing that stands out to me immediately with this item is that just makes an infinite with itself. It refreshes 2 spent items, and you spend it to do that. So if you have 2 of them, you could use 1 of them to refresh something that like added 1 to your next attack's damage or something. And then you could use the other to refresh the first potion and the thing that added 1 to your next attack's damage. And then you could use the first potion, which is now refreshed, to refresh the second potion and the thing that added 1 to your next damage. This is like a trivial infinite, right? So I don't know if there are just no items in the game that would be worth doing that with, or I'm thinking more likely you're only allowed to have 1 of each item on each character, maybe. Anyway, another thing about the renewing potion is I don't actually have an item which is spent in this way yet. All my items are tap on use, and then they come back on long rest. But renewing potion wants an item like itself. Like, renewing potion is the only item I have which renewing potion can affect right now. This item is lost for the rest of the fight on use. So it's not actually a very useful item right now. I'm going to give it to my banner spear. Potions, unlike items, we get to choose who gets them when we craft them. All of the alchemy resources are actually shared among the party. Like, if somebody wants to get a snow thistle and doesn't have one, but somebody else has one, we can actually just trade them between characters. So, like, even if you wanted to craft a bow and the bow required a snow thistle, you could take the snow thistle for it off another character. But if it also required lumber, you wouldn't be able to take the lumber for it off another character. It's a little specific and stuff, but whatever. Anyway, I figure Xenia is looking to become merchant class, and so we'll need 4 small items, and this is a small item, so why not give that here? Makes sense to me. The final thing that I want to do in town is I want to build the logging camp. So you can see here there are some structures that are not built yet, but are buildable. This wall, for example, requires that we're at prosperity level 1, which we are at, and then we can spend 4 lumber and 10 gold in order to build it. We can build 1 structure per week, unless we want to pay 2 morale to build a second structure, or a third structure, or a fourth. Like, you can always build another structure, but it costs 2 morale as well. Morale is this thing that we got 5 of for keeping 3 city guard alive. It affects our defense when we get raided, which can happen sometimes. there's a lot of stuff going on in this game. I don't even know what town guard perks are yet. Not a clue. Yeah. Um, so the structure I would like to build right now is a logging camp. The logging camp will give me wood every week, and we've got a logging camp to give us wood, a hunting lodge to give us hides, and a mining camp to give us metals. And I was looking through these. I've started the game like 4 or 5 times at this point, and I'm embarrassed to admit that this is the first time I've actually like added up what these structures cost. Cumulatively, it costs 10 lumber to build these 3 structures, 6 metal, and 5 hides. And so if I want to get all 3 of them built, it feels like it makes a lot of sense to build the logging camp first, so I can start making a dent on that 10 lumber that I have to get. So I am going to head over here to the logging camp, and I'm going to click on build. And now all of a sudden I have a logging camp. The building of a structure happens after you've done all this stuff in town, so you're not allowed to use this building for anything this week, but next week we will be able to use it. We can collectively buy up to 1 wood for 2 gold. Yay! And also down here it notes +1 prosperity. When we construct a logging camp, we get +1 prosperity. We are on our way toward 2 prosperity. Another moment where like the length of this track gives some hints to how long a campaign might be. Also, this is the like advent calendar for missions, by the way. I guess there are 137 scenarios. Wait, that one is XX? Okay. Well, I don't know what that means. Anyway, so we do have a logging camp now. We've got an hour 1 prosperity. It's even on the map. If you play the board game, you get stickers that you apply to the map for all of this stuff. It's really hard to put them on the board and have the art line up perfectly. So it's like actually very satisfying to be playing the tabletop simulator version and the stickers exactly line up onto the board just perfectly. It does feel pretty good. With all that done, I do need to subtract some resources from character sheets, but I don't need you to watch me do that. The next thing to do is play another mission. Yeah, that was the Outpost phase. Now we go do a mission. I don't know if there's a tendency for people to like, if you're playing with a group, I assume that you play 1 mission per session, but I don't know if you do the Outpost phase before or after the mission. Probably just depends on how long the mission takes. So, in order to select a new mission, we've just finished a Town in Flames, which unlocked Algox Scouting, or Algox Offensive. And when we were reading through the outro to A Town in Flames, it was telling us a little bit about this. The Algox Offensive is like running straight into the front door of the Algox camp, and Algox Scouting is kind of like going around the side to a back entrance. I'm just going to run straight in the front door. And the reason for that is that I've started several campaigns of Frosthaven at this point, and I've played Algox Scouting several times and only played Algox Offensive once. So I just figure it will be more fun for me. So I'm going to set up Algox Offensive, and then we'll get right into it. Algox Offensive. Introduction. They'll be tired from the raid, so this is your moment, Southhead explained, pointing you toward the foothills of the Coppernick Mountains, where her scout tracked the Algox attackers. I doubt you'll be able to fight them all on your own, but maybe you can find another way to subdue them if you get close. On the other hand, they'll be worn out after this little battle, so feel free to test your luck. Just remember, even a tired Algox is strong enough to rip someone in two. After hours of tracking, you find yourself before a cave, a wide black stain on an otherwise pristine mountainside. A crowd of Algox moving around in front of it. Getting a bit closer, you realize there are 2 different groups of Algox gathered at the cave mouth, and they seem to be fighting. The defenders look like the Algox who attacked Frosthaven, huge figures with fur-covered muscle and vicious strength. They're throwing punches that could flatten a longhouse. You've seen it happen. But you can tell their strength is flagging against their assailants. The attackers, on the other hand, wear leather robes and move their clawed hands in intricate patterns. Covered in the same white fur as the defenders, they stand their ground outside the cave, guarded by wild beasts as they hurl magical storms of snow. You creep in close and the battle begins to shift. A flank is thinned out on one side, and you can see a path into the cave ahead. It won't be easy breaking through the fighting, But if you want to see what the defenders are guarding without getting your hands dirty, this is the best chance you're going to get. Spoilers, we are in fact going to get our hands dirty. That is over-promising scenario description. Special rules here: all Algox priests and hounds are allies to each other and enemies to all other figures. Likewise, all Algox guards and Algox archers are allies to each other and enemies to all other figures. I'm going to use the allied attack modifier deck for the priests and hounds. If any character becomes exhausted, the scenario is lost. This is an escape scenario. The scenario is complete when all characters have escaped at the end of that round. Read 8.3. So, I think it's easier to visualize this on the board, probably. We have our starting location right here. Wait, if you click this, what happens? Oh, they go away. Oh, okay. Well, I have to remember that this is the starting location now, I guess. We have some Algox priests and a hound over here, and some Algox priests and hounds down here. That's one team. And the other team is some Algox archers and guards who are kind of like in the middle, getting flanked by these enemies. Now, this is a line of 3 elite Algox archers, and you may remember from the first mission, Algox archers hit very hard. They shoot very hard. Sometimes they shoot multiple targets in the same turn. And the elites at level 3, which is the level I'm playing, because I'm +2 difficulty compared to recommended, have 12 health already. Which, like, they're not easily killable. The regular ones have 7 health. This is a regular Algox archer. But yeah, the elites could be quite difficult to kill. So that is the setup. A small thing of note, there is a treasure chest over here, which is maybe worth noting. So we have reason to go pick that up as well. And I thought that this time, last time I did the combat goals without you, but this time I thought it would be fun to like walk through what that's like, especially because I thought there was a really interesting choice for my Deathwalker. Not interesting in terms of like they're all close, but interesting in terms of like, because I'm choosing this card, I am going to play the mission quite a bit differently from how I otherwise would. So my Banner Spear, Xenia, is picking between, you get a choice of 3. And we're picking between never end your turn adjacent to any other character, Recluse. Character does not count banners or summons. It's only the other like actual character models. I think because this is an escape scenario and we're going to have to go through at least one narrow doorway and stuff, this just doesn't seem very easy to do. There are some pretty small rooms toward the end of the mission too, it looks like. We could be a gambler, kill an enemy with an attack that has disadvantage. Probably doable, but does require me to actively play badly. Or we can be a closer, kill the last enemy to die in the scenario. And I think I'm just going to go for closer here. It seems like it also requires me to play slightly badly potentially in terms of like I'm going to have to order my last turn to try to get my Banner Spear to get the final hit on something. But if I don't do it, it's fine. And it is a goal that I don't have to choose to try to do until the very end of the scenario. Whereas like trying to kill an enemy with disadvantage could require me to play quite badly in a turn in the middle of the scenario, and that could actually snowball into bad things happening over the course of the rest of the mission, right? So that's why I'm picking closer. Muckduck, our drifter, is choosing between Insomniac, suffer damage from an attack in the same round that you long rest, which is like actually kind of doable for my drifter, I would say. Like long resting in front of enemies is not that bad a play as this character. I heal 4 instead of 2 when I long rest because of that card that heals me for 2 extra every time I heal. Or it makes my heals 2 stronger. Weakling is an option, become exhausted before any other character. Now that would fail me the mission, so we're not going to be doing that one. Or Slayer, kill 2 or more enemies in the same round. So this is a choice between Slayer and Insomniac, where if I get Slayer done, it is worth twice as much as what Insomniac is worth. So that's certainly a large argument for trying to get Slayer done. Unfortunately, there's nobody in my party who can easily help Mukduk kill enemies by like giving him an extra attack in a turn or something like that. My Bone Shaper has one card that can do that, but it is lost on use, so it would be like a one-time thing. I think if you're looking at the math, you only need to be able to get this to work half as often as you need to get Insomniac to work. And Insomniac, like, sure, I can almost certainly do that, but it does actually require me to play kind of badly, potentially. So I think I'll just go for Slayer, and I expect to maybe get this done 40% of the time or something, uh, which is enough to make it the best choice, in my opinion. My Bone Shaper, Ch1Ep3, is picking between Masochist and the scenario with a hit point value of 3 or less. This is quite easy for my Bone Shaper to do. We have max HP of 6, and we also have cards that damage ourself, so very easy to do. Dynamo, kill an enemy with an attack which would have caused at least 4 more points of damage than necessary. That's, on the other hand, almost impossible for my Bone Shaper to do. I just don't have very many big attacks. For Sleeper, have 1 or more cards in your hand each time you rest. Doable, but like meaningfully makes it harder to win the scenario. So we'll just go for Masochist, which is, I think, nearly free perk checkmark. And then my Deathwalker. This is the one that I thought was most interesting. We've got Straggler, never short rest. Sure, could do that. Assistant, kill an enemy attacked by any of your allies early in the same round. Could also do this. Honestly, very well may. Like, that's the sort of thing I might do accidentally. I think I did it last mission accidentally. But then we also have Slowpoke. Move no more than 2 hexes on each turn. And this is a double checkmark mission goal. So there is reason to go out of my way to try to make those happen. And the really cool thing about my Deathwalker that none of the other characters in the party can do is my Deathwalker kind of breaks movement rules. Some of the cards that do that are not unlocked yet, but for example, we have... Where'd it go? Nope, 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 that one. For example, we have a card that lets us melee attack an enemy even though we aren't next to the enemy, our shadows are. So we could have a card in our deck like Dark Fog, which says move 1 shadow up to 5 hexes, and that would change where we were to be able to make an attack without actually having us move. And another thing that we have is we can actually teleport to our shadows. I don't believe that I did that last mission, but it is a thing that I can do. The bottom half of Forceful Spirits says teleport to a hex with a shadow or adjacent to a shadow, and a teleport does not count as a move. So I am going to go for Slowpoke, and in order to facilitate going for Slowpoke, I'm actually going to change my deck. I'm going to change which cards I'm bringing to the mission. I'm going to take out Lingering Rot. Do I want to take out Lingering Rot, or do I want to take out Shadow Step? Shadow Step is lower initiative. Let's take out Shadow Step, actually. I'm going to take out Shadow Step. I can't move more than 2 in 1 turn, so the upsides of this card are significantly lower. And I'm going to add Dark Fog. And I'm not intending to use the top half of Dark Fog for much of anything. I'm largely intending to use the bottom part of Dark Fog. And this is kind of like a bailout for me. If this is an escape mission, so I'm trying to go to some tiles in the final room of the mission to escape. I have to end around on them, and then I get out. If we're in trouble and need to just dash to the exit, how I can do it is I can move a shadow to the exit, and then the next turn I can teleport to it. And that won't break my combat goal. So I've changed my deck a little bit to enable that. With all that done and said, we are ready to pick some cards and play round 1. An observation I have, as I have worked out what I'm doing round 1 here, is I suspect that in an awful lot of round ones this campaign, my party is going to be playing like pretty much exactly the same buff cards as I usually do. Because I think this is almost an identical round one to my round one and mission one. The enemies are very different though, so that part of it is definitely different. We're going very slow, we're playing a lot of buff cards, and the enemies are going to be probably the more exciting part of this round. So, first up, we have some hounds. I don't believe I've fought any hounds yet. Hounds are in the tutorial mission, but I skipped that one. This game does have at least one dog that you can pet, but it also has a tutorial where you have to kill all the dogs, and then mission 2 of the main campaign is full of dogs that die as well. Even if you don't kill them, they are embroiled in combat with enemies. So, you know, I mean, anyway, the hounds move first, and so I am the enemy of the hounds, and so are these Algox archers and guards. And so hound number 2, its closest enemy is this Algox guard, and it's going to move, and it's going to attack. And it attacks out of the allied modifier deck. Gets a -1. So hits for a total of 1 damage and immobilizes the enemy. Then we have hound number 3 next. This one moves, it only has movement 4, and it's got a -1 on its move. So it's only going to be able to move to here in order to get closer to an enemy. And then we have hound number 5, which also, I think this tie breaks, actually I think this does as well. I think they both tie break off initiative since it's the same distance. And so is going to want to attack an Algox guard more than it wants to attack an Algox archer. Have I been playing that way for my own summons? I should be, I think. I think I've been tie-breaking when my summons are choosing between 2 enemies of the same type, but if my summons are choosing between enemies of different types, I believe they are meant to attack the one with the lower initiative that round if they're the same distance. Anyway, hound is here. Let's make an attack on this elite. Again, we're using the ally deck modifier. -1 health for you, and you are immobilized, and that is the hounds done. Next up, we got some Algox guards. Oh no. Oh, this is bad for the for the hounds. If you just didn't move in, you'd be fine, but they have attacks for +0 and apply poison. This one first, -1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Poison makes it so the hound will take +1 damage from subsequent attacks, and 1 shield for the Algox guards, I have to remember. Then we have this elite attacking for 5 here, +0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have this regular Algox guard. I don't believe that one's an elite. +1 damage. That is 1 enemy dead already. My opinion, by the way, of the balance of the enemies on this mission is that the Algox guards and archers are much stronger than the Algox priests and hounds. And I mean, yeah, if you just look at their numbers, like these have 8 health and attack for 2. These have 19 health and attack for 5. So like, I don't think it's too hard to understand why I think that. Anyway, the Algox guards are all moved. The Algox priests now are going to move and heal. This is not good. This is not good for the Algox priests. So they move like they want to make a melee attack. So this one will move here, and then it has nothing it can heal. This one will move here, and then it has nothing it can heal. Oh, I should have done the elite first. The elite will move here. It will heal the hound. When you heal something that's poisoned, you remove the poison, but don't actually give it any health. And then this Algox priest will move into melee range of me and can also heal the hound. But yeah, that's not, this isn't going great. The Algox archers now all get to make attacks. The elites go first. So elite number 1 is going to attack Algox Priest. The elite Algox Priest, -1 modifier, but +1 on the actual attack. So sits for 5, -2 shield. Number 3 attacks the regular priest. -1 on the modifier means hits for 5. And then number 5 attacks the elite priest. -2 on the modifier. So started at 6, 4, 2 shield. Hits for 2. Okay. And then the regular archer will attack this hound. +0 and +1 on the actual attack that hits for 5. So yeah, definitely appreciative of the priests and hounds for tanking for a turn or two for me, but not really looking like they're going to do much more than that, is it? I do have characters who get to do things as well, in theory. So I'm going to start with my banner spear, and much like last mission, I'm going to summon a banner of strength. I'm going to hope that this does an awful lot of good stuff for me. Ooh. Questions, yeah? I think I will put it here just to make it a little bit further away from this archer. And then I have 2 experience from that. The card goes into play. And I'm going to play Driving Inspiration, which is a ranged attack dealing 2 damage, +1 for my banner is 3. And I think I would rather attack this Algox archer than the Algox priest, even though the priest is right up in my face. I am going to have to kill that priest, but I think I can do it with melee attacks probably, or my summons. Whereas the Algox archer, I also am going to have to kill, and that one seems harder to get dead, so let's attack it. So I have advantage, I draw 2 modifiers. +1, hits for 4. It's not a terrible first turn from my banner spear, I wouldn't say. My drifter is going to put crushing, weight, and continuous health into play. This is nothing super exciting. We have +2 damage on our melee attacks and +2 heal on our heals, but no actual attacks this turn. For my Bone Shaper, I played Transfer of Essence and Angry Spirits. The reason for Transfer of Essence is I thought maybe I would want to use the bottom half if, for example, I don't know, the priest came in and attacked my drifter or something. Mostly it's that I don't have a good bottom half of a card for early in the game. That said, I can use it to move, so I'm going to move up toward this treasure chest. I think my Bone Shaper has the most freedom of movement because, like, most of my Bone Shaper's damage is dealt by my summons, right? So it doesn't really matter where my Bone Shaper is. So I'm going to move up toward this treasure chest because I think my Bone Shaper is probably the easiest person to pick that up with. And then I'm playing Angry Spirits, which channels Dark, gives me 2 experience, and summons a Wraith. And I have to decide where to summon this Wraith. I think this tile's okay. The only way that this backfires is if this Algox Priest... No, even if that chose to have multiple targets next turn, it wouldn't want to attack this Wraith. So yeah, I think that that is fine. It's just like, if the Wraith dies, I don't get it back again, so it is a lot of damage that I'm just kind of like hanging out in front of the enemies, hoping they won't kill it. And Deathwalker is also playing 2 buff cards. We're playing Call to the Abyss and Strength of the Abyss. So Call to the Abyss marks enemies for death and then makes shadows when they die, and Strength of the Abyss consumes shadows to give probably +2 damage on attacks, especially since the other option is +2 to one of my moves, but I'm playing a Slowpoke mission where I don't want to move more than 2 hexes each turn, so that part of the card doesn't seem very useful. And that is a fairly bloodthirsty round one, but like not for us. We just kind of chilled out while the enemies did all this work. Okay. Okay. All right. Turn 2 here. Turn 2 is a round of Frosthaven. This is the first turn I've played so far where it's really felt like really solving a puzzle. So I'm hoping that this will be pretty sweet. We begin with, okay, well, I hadn't seen what the enemies were doing. This is really interesting. I do not know how the hound is meant to move here because I'm not sure if it's meant to try to maximize how many adjacent enemies it's going to muddle. It's not attacking. It's only muddling enemies. But I'm not sure if it's meant to move to have as many enemies as possible next to it, like this could move here, or not. So I'm going to look that up. This is very confusing to me. Negative targeted abilities. Is it targeted? Yes, I think so. The monster uses the focus rules to find the targets for these abilities as if they were attack abilities, but this does not affect how it moves. I guess it doesn't affect how it moves. All right, anyway. That means that this hound just stands still and muddles an Algox guard next to it. And this hound wants to move 2 tiles to be next to, or actually it can just move 1 tile, I guess. Next to this Algox archer and muddle that. Not a great turn from the 2 remaining hounds, I gotta say. I take my turn now. Well, a lot of my characters do. And my first move, I went with Anger of the Dead, primarily just to get 14 initiative, so I'd go early in the turn. I'm just going to move my Deathwalker up. We're still in range of the Banner of Strength, and I'm going to use Forceful Spirit's Consuming Darkness, +1 experience, to hit this archer first, and I'm going to mark it for death and take +1 damage from the banner. +0 kills. And I can grab a shadow, which I will place, I guess, there. And then this Algox guard. This one I'm not getting +1 from the banner on because I can only get that once. But I got +1 from the attack modifier deck. So 4 damage to you. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, just a good solid high damage turn for my Deathwalker. I really like Forceful Spirits. I think this card's like quite good. And also, because of its restricted range, it does make you work a little bit to get good results with it, which I think is fun. My Drifter is in charge of killing this Algox priest here, and my Drifter has exactly 1 card which doesn't burn, which lets him attack with the bottom half of a card. So when you have an attack on the bottom half of a card, you can attack twice in a turn, basically, because we make the bottom half attack and the top half attack. I'm going to start with Bloodletting. I'll take +1 damage on this. I figure it's better to put +1 damage from the banner on the lower base value attack in case I crit miss, because if I crit hit, I'm probably going to kill the enemy anyway. So it's 1 +1 from the banner, +2 from Crushing Weight, +1 experience. Is 4 base +0, 4 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we wound the enemy. And then Fortitude is 3 damage with 2 piercing, although this type of Algox Priest doesn't have any shield. And we advance Crushing Weight to put +2 on that. And we've dealt 4 damage. Which does not kill the enemy, but with it at 1 health and wounded, it is effectively dead. Like, it will die before it moves. The difference is, like, its loot isn't on the ground yet, or other enemies might use it to focus. In fact, straight away, there's an example of that where the Wraith that my Bone Shaper has summoned, which is now moving, has to choose what it's focusing and could be drawn toward this, where otherwise it would go attack something else. In this case, though, it's just going to attack the Hound, which is not necessarily something I actually want. It's attacking the Hound for 4 damage. I want the Hound to stay alive for a bit so that it can keep this Algox guard distracted. But, oh well, that's okay. So this is where my turn gets really interesting, because I have a little mini quest for my soldiers this turn. I'm going to move 4 with Return Servant, 1, 2, 3, 4, to here, which is within 5 range of Algox Archer number 5, but not close enough to any other enemies to, like, convince them to attack me. And then I'm going to use Decaying Will, which will channel Earth and will attack this Algox Archer for 1 damage, plus 0, so it takes 1, and poison it. So future attacks against it deal plus 1 damage. And that is my Bone Shaper's turn. And so far, it may not be apparent why this felt like a good idea to me yet, but hopefully it will be soon. The Algox archers go now, they don't move, and they attack for plus 1 damage. I assume all of my allies are dead. That is my assumption when I read something saying that. I've got Algox Archer 1 shooting this Algox Priest. Plus 1 damage as well, so it's 7. Minus 2 shield is 5 damage. Then Algox Archer 3 shooting normal Algox Priest. Kills it. And Algox Archer 5 shooting the Elite Priest. Kills it. They are turning into nicely organized and stacked loot pouches for me right now, the enemies. That's all the Algox Archers, so Hound number 3 stays alive. Now my Banner Spear goes. I will probably get attacked once for doing this, but that is okay. My Banner Spear is going to move 4. 1, 2, 3. I guess we'll go here. What are they doing? I guess we'll go here. So we can pick up some loot as well. And then I'm going to use Incendiary Throw, which channels fire. And this says, if the target suffers damage from this attack, the target and all enemies adjacent to the target get a wound. So I'm going to hit Algox Archer number 5 with this. It has to take damage from the attack, which means a crit miss or a -2 don't do anything. Anything other than a crit miss or a -2 deals like possibly 20 or more damage. So this would be a heartbreaking moment to get a crit miss or a -2. Okay, not a crit miss or a -2. Really important that I poisoned it there, because if I hadn't poisoned it, a -1 would have also made this fail, right? So that was a like pretty hugely swingy play, but it had very high chance of success, and I invested quite a lot of resources into putting it together. Now we have 5 enemies bleeding on the battlefield. Oh, and I get a loot. It is a coin. Not bad. I mean, it's kind of the worst thing it can possibly be, honestly, but I'm still happy. It's just so fun to draw cards from a deck and then you have more cards. What's not to like? Okay, the Algox cards are going to go, they are going to make a short move and then a big attack. Algox card number 1 is going to attack Hound number 2. Needs to draw 2 cards. Got a +0. And it's hitting for 6. Yep, okay, goodbye. No longer confused. The other Algox cards take 1 damage each from their wounds. And then the Elite number 2 will move here and attack Hound number 3. This one is not muddled. Kills it easily. And the other Algox guard, this one's not an Elite, is going to move up and hit my Banner Spear. So my Banner Spear does take damage, but I'm going to say that was well worth it. We got hit for 4, but if you compare that to how much damage I assume we have just dealt, pretty sure that's heavily worth. Algox Priests go next. I don't know if, presumably they don't take a wound damage until they actually move, so probably first this Elite Priest moves. It doesn't matter, but it is going to heal all allies. Okay, it moves, but it doesn't move because it's already where it wants to be. It's going to heal all allies within 1 range for 1, which doesn't do anything. And then it's going to put a Bless in its combat modifier deck, which I mean, that could have done something if you or your friends ever attacked anybody, friend. But, yep. The other one dies to its wound. And that was a, I'm going to say, pretty exciting turn, too. Round 3 is looking spicy. I used to have a whole lot of priests and hounds on my side, and now they're all dead. So, we'll see what happens. I'm largely kind of running away right now. I figure with the archers all wounded, and a lot of their deck doesn't do a very good job of moving toward me. If I walk backwards and spend some time killing the Algox guards, the archers will maybe be softer by the time that they get to me. Of course, they roll a move. That's too bad. Yeah, well, we'll see. we will have to see. That's a good move for the priest for us, though. My banner spear has the first move of the turn, and my intent was to run away, which is what I'm now going to do. I think that's, yeah. I do have to see what the enemies are doing here because I can't leave my Deathwalker as the target of the archers, but it looks like the archers will kill this priest. Actually, they'll want to kill the priest without moving because the priest can move up, and then all of them are within 4 range of it. And they shouldn't kill it before they've all shot. So if I move my banner spear to more than 1 hex away from this Algox guard, the Algox guard will also want to attack the priest. And this should be probably okay. And then I have a javelin that I'm going to throw for 4 damage. I'm next to the banner of strength. 3 damage. 1, 2, 3. Just some more deeps. Alright. The Algox priest is finally making an attack. And it's making, I would say, arguably its best attack. This is a ranged attack, so it is going to want to move out of melee contact with the enemy it most wants to attack. And it's allowed to attack 2 targets. I get to choose the second target out of anything that's within 3 range of it. So I think I'll hit the Algox archer with poison on it, just to get a little bit more damage. We're attacking for a base attack of 3 minus 1 is 2, and we're putting curses in the enemy deck, which I greatly appreciate. So let's first make this attack against the Algox guard. +0 and a curse. And then against the poisoned Algox archer, +0 and a curse. Because it's poisoned, this one is for 3 instead of 2. And then the Algox priest is done and ends turn and kind of accepts its fate. That's probably it for you, friend. Sorry. Oh well. We have a Wraith attacking this Algox guard. I drew the crit. How does the Wraith always get the crit? It is +1 from the banner, so it hits for 4. Not bad. And then my Bone Shaper is going to move 2. So I'm going to go grab the chest and create a summon. I'm putting a skeleton. I'll put it right here. The goal for the skeleton is to get shot instead of one of my characters. I also get an experience for that. And lose 2 health. So when you open a chest, the game on Tabletop Simulator, all the chests are unique. So they have different items in them or different rewards in them or what have you, and you look them up in the rulebook to see. In this case, we get 3 loot cards, which is not the most exciting thing. Oh, that's kind of exciting. Also, this is the character who wants the different types of herbs. Or alternately, 3 hides. Should I shuffle that deck? I believe I believe it comes shuffled. Okay, well, I mean, that's fine. We got the chest, so go ahead and say worth. My drifter is going to have to do some tanking pretty soon. I was not expecting things to be quite this bad, but yeah, my drifter is definitely going to have to step up like next turn and start tanking stuff. For this turn, I couldn't think of anyone other than my drifter who could get this loot here. Everyone else is going to want to be moving forward. So I figured I'd use Vile Assault to make that move and pick up the loot. I'm not getting the heal out of it. It's awkward to play Vile Assault without the heal. I think move 2 and heal self for 4 is just a really good card, but because I haven't taken damage at all on this character for the first 3 rounds, I decided that using it was okay. I regret my choice, to be honest, but anyway, we have Deadly Shot now. We're going to attack Algox Guard 1 for 4. Sorry, Algox Guard 1 is on. So why did I say it was attacking it for 4? I have no idea. Oh, range 4, that's why. Anyway, it hits it for 3 and poisons it. Not the most useful poison that I have ever applied, for sure. But that is my drifter's turn. We got a loot! No! One off. Too bad. Alright, the Algox Archers go now. Oh no. First, Algox Archer 1 takes 1 damage from its wound and shoots at this Algox Priest. I drew the crit miss. No damage. Next, Algox Archer 3 takes 1 damage and shoots at the Priest as well. Drew a +0. So it's attacking for 5. 2 shield, deals 3. And then Algox Archer number 5 takes 1 damage from poison. Or from wound, rather. Not 2 damage. The poison doesn't increase the damage taken from things which aren't attacks. And this isn't an attack, it's just a status effect. Also attacks the Algox Priest. +1 on that attack, so hits for 4. But the Priest is still alive, so well done. I have a Deathwalker. And my Deathwalker has Call of Doom and has Wave of Anguish. And ooh, if I want to make another shadow, fascinating. So my thought was with Wave of Anguish, I was going to like just move my Deathwalker away first off because I don't want my Deathwalker to die. And then I was going to move this shadow that's on the board here up and left, so it was next to 3 enemies, and then I can use Call of Doom to make an attack against all adjacent enemies as though I'm occupying that hex. Now it's only an attack for 1 damage, and I don't have darkness, so I'm not applying muddle with it. So it isn't a very exciting attack, is it? I think instead I'm actually going to try to get the kill on this Algox Guard. I am playing a character whose retirement goal is to get kills on 2 Algox Guards. So, I mean, this seems kind of sensible, right? So I'm going to move 2 for sure. And then I'm going to move this shadow here. And I will use Call of Doom. So it's an attack for 1 +1 poison on this Algox Guard. +0 is enough to kill. Let's make a note. Notes. Algox Guard. 1 out of 2. Also, I guess I didn't say this, but there was no reason not to mark it for death, so that was the plan, and it spawns a shadow. And now I can attack this other Algox Guard and immediately mark it for death as well. This is going pretty well. It's kind of cool. This is an attack for just 1 +1 is 2 damage. It's not nothing. And it is marked for death as well, which is a nice thing to get done. I think I never use fire. I can consume dark with Black Barrage next turn. Yeah, let's use Circle of Elements to turn fire into dark right now. Probably, to be honest, I should have done that last turn, and that way this turn I would have had dark and I could have muddled this enemy, but that's okay. End of my Deathwalker's turn. It is nice to get that Algox guard dead for sure. We have a little bit of distance between us and the enemies right now, because these Algox guards are going to go attack this priest as well, so they're kind of like all up there in the corner, and we are not. Algox guard 2 moves first. Gonna wander up here and make an attack for 5. Plus 2. Okay, well, never mind. The Algox priest is dead. Oh, is it muddled? No, it's not muddled. If it had been muddled. Oh well. Dead Algox priest. We are no longer in a 3-party scenario. We are now down to just us and one set of enemies. I feel like there's almost as many of them as there were when it was a 3-party scenario as well. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes. This Algox guard only has 3 base movement because it's not an elite, so it can only move to here. It will strengthen itself. Strengthen gives it advantage on its attacks until the end of next round. Or the end of its next turn. I think the end of its next turn, actually. To be more precise. But yeah, it doesn't actually get to make an attack. And as of the end of round 3, all of the priests and doggies are dead. Welcome to Frosthaven. It's not always a super lighthearted game. In fact, perhaps it just isn't a super lighthearted game as a general statement. I don't know. Let's end the round. We have a brawl on our hands. A big variance moment here. If the Algox archers just like stand over there and don't shoot at me this turn, it makes this a lot easier than if they come and try to kill me. So let's see what they roll. They rolled stand still. That's pretty good. So I prepared myself for the possibility that the archers were going to attack me, but they only have 4 range. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're going before the Bone Shaper, so as long as nobody walks in there, they are not going to do anything. What are the guards doing? They are making big attacks. Okay, so this will probably wander over and kill my skeleton. Although it only moves 3. Yeah, it's within 3 range though. Okay, too bad. My drifter did have the ability to do some stuff with defense with prudent preparation. I guess that's what I'll do, actually, still. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna use Unbreakable. And then the top half of Prudent Preparation as well. And so I have 2 shield now. I haven't moved, so you might be thinking, well, that seems kind of silly. Nobody's going to attack you anyway. But I am going to use the Banner Spear to reposition, and that will get the move done. Let's go. I will move my Banner Spear, and then I will grant 2 allies within 2 range a move of 2. So Banner Spear can go here. Drifter can go here. And I can move my Deathwalker, but not much reason to, because I can't move any closer than this line, or I start letting the Algox archers shoot me, which is not ideal. I think I'll just move my Banner of Strength here, which is not much of anything, to be honest. And then I have Regroup. I have the top half of Regroup. I have never played the top half of Regroup because last mission I was trying to keep my banner with me for the entire mission, and so I was always using the bottom half of it. I may keep my banner with me the entire mission, this mission too, but I think the map is less large. Anyway, it heals me for 2. Well, it heals a target for 2. I'm targeting myself. And applies Regeneration, which will give me 1 health at the start of every turn. It's like the opposite of a wound. So as long as I don't take damage, which would break my regeneration and remove it, that will full heal me another couple of turns. Then the Algox archers go, and they make attacks against 2 targets within 4 range. It would be really bad if I was next to them. that would be a lot of damage. How much? It's 8 damage each. That's like 24 potential damage that they're dealing. But because I'm not within range, they are instead just taking 3. So very big swing in terms of positioning. Now that they have moved... Oh. I was thinking that I might be able to Lingering Rot against this Algox guard that's in front of me to poison it, but yeah, the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm realizing that that would require me to be in melee combat with it, which doesn't seem good, does it? I guess instead I will walk away. So something that I've realized, I thought this Algox guard was closest to the skeleton and I would go kill the skeleton. But actually it's equidistant to the Drifter, and the Drifter has the lowest initiative. So this Algox guard is coming down here and hitting my Drifter, actually, with advantage, and with +1 damage. So hitting him pretty hard. That is going to be unfortunate for Mukduk. I guess getting the poison out of Lingering Rot isn't that big a deal. Probably what I do here, like this Algox guard is also attacking Mukduk, by the way. Probably what I do here is just move backwards and throw a Black Barrage. This is attacking for 4. It's at 5 range. I could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could have actually shot at that. Do I want to do that? 5 range is a long way. I could use my bow and shoot at that even. Ooh, that would set up a shadow over there, potentially. Fascinating. That's so much range. Okay, let's try it. I have this bow, let's use it. Crude bow. During your turn, add 1 range to one of your ranged attacks. So before I move, I'm going to use Black Barrage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 range to hit this archer. I can mark it for death first, and then +2 damage is way more than enough to kill. I also get 1 experience for consuming Dark Element on that. And that lets me create a shadow. I guess also if I wanted, I could have consumed one of these shadows to put +2 damage on the attack, but that sure didn't seem necessary there, did it? And then I'm moving 2. So maybe I actually move here. That's also pretty safe, and it feels like it's closer to everything than all the way down here in terms of like where I'm going to be moving to next turn. This is a fun fight. I like how the game doesn't have tons and tons and tons of just normal pitched battles, but I also like that when the game does have a pitched battle, it's really fun. And some of that is because the pitch battles kind of evolve out of other scenarios, or they're sparse enough that they feel fresh. And part of it's just that the mechanics of the game are really fun. Like, it's just cool to have all these different options with what your squad can do. All right, Algox guards go now. This one takes 1 from its wound, and it is moving 4. -1 is 3, but also it only has to move 3. And it is making an attack with advantage for 6 base. +1 or +0, so 7. I have 2 shield on Mukduk. It takes 5 damage, and defense is unbreakable. Ooh, and I have a retaliate, so I do hit back for 1. Worth. And then the other one just moves here and attacks Mukduk as well. Again, with advantage. Oh, +2. Is that a problem? Or is that okay? That's 7. That means I have to burn a card. Wow. You do take a wound, you do take a retaliate, but yeah, I have to burn a card for that. Rough. I don't actually know that that was much above average, to be honest. I think when I'm burning cards early, probably we give up on the idea of getting 4 persistent abilities to the final slot, which I was going for again. I refuse to be cowed by past failures. I will always strive for glory. I will eventually probably lose a mission because of it, at which point I might have to convince myself to stop. Okay. When my Bone Shaper moves, the first thing that happens is a summons move. So first, this Wraith will attack Algox guard number 2. +1 damage. So 3. 1, 2, 3. Then my Skeleton's going to wander over here to try to attack the Algox guard as well, but won't have enough movement range. And then I think my turn is going to be, we'll grab the heal from Fel Remedy and go up to full health. And I will command my Skeleton to get an attack. And also just, it feels nice to have my Skeleton here to do some tanking for me. Another 3 damage, not bad at all. This is the one that's marked for death too. Okay, and that is round 4. Something I'm noting as I start round 5 here with 4 enemies still on the map. In mission 1, I killed all of the enemies before I had to rest the first time. And here in mission 2, perhaps that would have been doable if the wolves and priests did a bit more damage, but they didn't. So I'm actually getting pretty close to having to rest already while in the first combat, which is interesting. I'm going to have to make some choices. Next turn, 3 of my characters have to rest. My Drifter would have had 1 more turn, but had to lose a card. And yeah, I'm going to have to decide how I'm going to do that. Also, can my Drifter kill 2 enemies in the same round? It's kind of hard. We're kind of like coming up on the end of the part of this fight where it feels like that is achievable. Okay, Algox guards did... Ooh, they did that? Oh no. It's actually kind of okay. My Banner Spear, I am using my last 2 cards, but I quite intentionally kept these cards for my Banner Spear. So first off, I regen. I'm going at 15 initiative, which is the lowest initiative that an Algox guard can have, and I win tiebreaks, so I'm always going to go before them. And the thought here was that I could use Deflecting Maneuver. All attacks targeting you this round gain disadvantage. Seems useful. I just remembered I have to put this on my discard. I often forget to do that with persistent cards that end at end of round. Deflecting Maneuver also is an attack, so it's an attack for 2 plus the banner is 3, plus another 2 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, that's on 4 health. Maybe I can kill 2 enemies in 1 turn. I didn't play cards that would let my Drifter do that, really. Then I'm using the bottom half of At All Costs to summon Charles Reinforcement. Get out there, Charles. Charles Reinforcement is a very reliable fighter who will almost certainly stay alive for a very long time. It is now the Algox guard's turn. So, they're not strengthened anymore. That was the last turn thing. They take 1 damage from wound. And the elite is going to attack Muckduck again, who's only at 5 health. It's an attack for 5. And applying poison. Scary? -1. Okay. -1 is a lot better than +1 there. -1 only hits me for 3 total. We do have poison applied now. What are the archers doing, by the way? They're moving and attacking at 5 range. Well, that's a bit of a problem. Okay, sure, fine. My Drifter has taken some damage, and we need to advance Unbreakable again. Then the non-elite Algox guard is going to make an attack against Charles Reinforcement. Crit! So deals 8. Charles Reinforcement has 1 health and is dead. And that essentially is the job of Charles Reinforcement. What a great time. All right. My Drifter. I feel like killing this Algox guard before my Deathwalker's turn is probably a good idea, because when my Deathwalker moves, I'm going to want to make an attack against the Algox archers, and I want to mark one of them for death. And this is the enemy that's currently marked for death. So if it could be dead, that would be nice. So let's start this by playing the top half of Sustained Momentum, which is a melee attack, so +2 damage. That one tile too far somehow. And I'm also next to the banner. Oh, it's a crit. All right, well that hits for 10, which is definitely enough. When the enemy dies, my mark for death goes off and I make another shadow. Trying to work out how this actually ends up looking. How much health do you have? 10 and 10. I can hit for 8. They are wounded. I could get a +1. Okay, cool. I'm also going to use my Amulet of Life, which I think means I have to advance this, even though I'm not getting any health, because all I get to do here is remove my poison. But I think I have to advance continuous health. I don't think there's a choice. And then I have a move. There are certainly options with this move. I don't think I want to move toward the archers. I could just stand still. Maybe I just stand still. Yeah, okay, let's just stand still. I do get to, if you're adjacent to exactly one enemy, move the character token on one of your persistent abilities back one slot. I do get to do that. I will, I think, move Crushing Weight back one slot. I think that's fine. And that is your turn done. And now it's time for my Deathwalker. There is this Algox guard still hanging out here. I could kill it. It feels like my Wraith and Skeleton can kill it, though, even though it has 1 shield right now. And as such, perhaps it would make more sense for Fluid Knight to be hitting this Algox Archer. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use Fluid Knight to hit that Algox Archer. I'm going to move 1 shadow up to 5 hexes. And my thought had been that I'd move another shadow out here to use it again, like next turn. But I guess instead what I'll do is I'll move this shadow back here so that I can consume it with Strength of the Abyss, which will remove it from the board and give me an experience. But now I'm getting +2 damage on this attack, and also I get +1 experience for playing Fluid Knight and remove this shadow. So altogether, I am attacking for 7. I'm not sure why I thought it would be 8. Yeah, attacking for 7. Against Algox Archer number 3. Why? That's not fun. Very rude. I do mark it for death, but yeah, I don't deal any damage. That's too bad. And that's my entire turn. I used up 2 shadows. Oof. It feels bad to make an attack for that much damage and miss, to be sure. To be sure. The crit misses are, yeah, much more punishing when you've put some effort into making the attack. So these have 2 move and 5 range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 distance to this banner spear. So I guess Algox Archer number 1 takes the damage from wound. I'll do number 2 as well right now. And then I'll move it here so it's standing on the same place as 2 loot pouches. That seems like a good idea. And it will shoot at my banner spear. Now, it is shooting with disadvantage because I played my card, which gives attacks against me this round disadvantage. Oh, Charles Reinforcement's dead. So we'll roll twice. +0 or crit miss. Okay. Even though it crit missed, it still will immobilize me. And then the other one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is actually already in range, so it doesn't have to move. +1 or +0. I guess that's a +0, -1 base, so it hits for 4 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. That does knock off my regeneration. And yeah, I would have been feeling a bit better had this attack landed and made it so this archer was nearly dead. Because 2 of them attacking every turn is actually still a bit of stuff to worry about. Hopefully my Wraith and Skeleton finish killing Algox guard number 6 here. They move first. Modifier -1. Okay, well that's 0 damage then, because it has 1 shield from its intent this turn. Skeleton also -1. So that hits for 1 damage. They haven't killed it yet. However, I can give a summon an attack for +1 damage, and I will do that with my skeleton. So now it's attacking for 4. +0. That is enough to kill. And then my Bone Shaper has a move for 4 here. Next turn I go at 21 initiative. It's very bad if next turn my Bone Shaper goes slower than the archers and they attack my Bone Shaper, because I won't have any cards in hand. Although I can short rest? I guess I can short rest actually, and then I will have cards in hand. It's still bad because I only have 6 health, but it's nowhere near as bad. It's really bad to take lethal damage with no cards in hand because you have to burn 2 cards from discard pile. Oh no, I can't short rest because I'm already playing these 2 cards. I mean, I could short rest, but I'd be wasting my turn. Okay. So Algox archers can sometimes go faster than 21 initiative. So I think I'm going to go here. I was thinking I could go here and pick up that loot pouch because it seems further out of the way for my other characters somehow. But I guess I will go here and pick up this one. And that is my big move, and I already did this. So that's your turn. What's the loot? It is metal. Cool. That'll help me build some stuff in town. And that's the end of round number 5. For resting considerations, my banner spear's immobilized anyway, and significantly, like quite a long way away from these enemies. So I could short rest and use an ability that like moved allies, I suppose, but I think I'll just take a long rest. I'm also missing some health. It's not a bad thing to do to take a long rest, I don't think. Like, it's completely fine. My Drifter, Muck Duck, is just kind of on 2 HP and already used Amulet of Life. So I think a long rest is just really good value here to get back to full. My Deathwalker, though. My Deathwalker, I feel, can be useful to start dealing some damage to these archers. And I don't feel as great about long resting. I'm at full health already. Just kind of feels like a short rest. I've got 8 cards in this pile, so I'm not super close to exhausting yet. Lose Anger of the Dead. I'm not super happy about it, but it's okay. I don't want to lose the card that lets me teleport, so I can't really reroll that, because if I lose my teleportation, I am all of a sudden having a lot of trouble getting out of the mission. So that all means that it's just my Bone Shaper and Deathwalker actually moving this turn. I have some sort of turn with both of them. Ooh, the archers are going fast. All right, fair enough. Well, nothing I can really do about that. Archer number 1 is going to attack the Shambling Skeleton here, who goes earlier in the initiative order than my Bone Shaper does. And draw an attack modifier +0. So there is a -1 on this attack, which means I'm getting hit for 4 here. I have 3 health. I do have Warden's Robes, and anytime I can use Warden's Robes to keep a summon alive for another turn, I'm pretty much going to be happy to. So, Skeleton is still alive, and that means that when Algox Archer 3 attacks, it will also attack the Skeleton. Now the Skeleton is dead, but it did its job. Wait, why was it not in my... That's fine, that's fine. It should be in my discard pile now anyway. I am clearly not doing something with the interface that I meant to be doing to make sure that those cards go in my in play all the time. Like maybe I just have to remember to drag them down when I summon. Okay, I do get a turn. And my Bone Shaper honestly is not having a great one. There isn't that much here I can even do. These are just the two cards that were left. I decided to bring Exploding Corpse this mission because I thought, like, well, the first room's a giant mess. So, like, probably I can have some situation where the bottom half of this card deals 10 damage or something. And I think probably on turn, like, 2, there was a moment for it, but it would have dealt a lot of damage to the Priests and Wolves, who I didn't want to accelerate the damage against. And I was doing some other stuff. I was applying the wounds that have dealt. I don't even know how much damage, but it must be a lot. So, round 2, I applied wounds to these. They've only taken damage from wounds. So that's 8 damage right there. And then there were 3 other wounds that I applied that turn. I think it probably was about 20 damage. Maybe like 18 or something. It's still not done ticking. Anyway, my Bone Shaper does technically have cards here. I guess this one lets me curse the monster deck. So sure, I'll add a curse to the monster deck and channel Dark. And then Exploding Corpse is just a move 2, really. I think my Bone Shaper is the most able to kind of like run around picking up random piles of loot. We'll go over here and pick up that one, since it feels like it's out of the way for everybody else. Oh, my Wraith does move toward enemies. I forgot to do that, but also it's still out of range, so it doesn't deal any damage. Say, yep, good. Pick up a pile of loot, and it is lumber. That's my Bone Shaper done. Then Achilles Tamir, the Deathwalker, is not allowed to move more than 2 hexes on each turn, so is quite a long way from everything. But I'm going to use the bottom half of Black Barrage to move all of my shadows up to 2 hexes, and then next turn I am intending to teleport to one of these. I'm going to put one of them there, and then I think what I might as well do is, I don't know, I could keep one around for when I open up the next room, I guess. How dangerous is the situation right now? Because I can bring one back to me to consume it on the attack I'm about to make, to deal an additional 2 damage. But I feel like probably this isn't a very dangerous spot, so it's better to just put the shadow there and kind of bank it for the next room. So that's the bottom half of Black Barrage. I move some shadows around, and then the top half of Call of Doom will consume the dark in order to muddle the enemies I'm attacking. And I'm attacking for 1 damage. We'll do Algox Archer 1 first. Takes 1. And Algox Archer 3, who currently has the death mark, takes a crit, which means it takes 2. Well, not the biggest crit, but hey, it works. They're both muddled, so next turn they will be attacking with disadvantage. And that's my Deathwalker's turn, and my Banner Spear and Drifter are long resting. So, Banner Spear, I forgot to use Heater Shield. I should have used Heater Shield when I got attacked. And then I have to make a choice about what I'm losing, and that's true for both characters, so I'll work that out. So for Xenia, I decided on Incendiary Throw. It did incredibly, but I think we have just seen kind of like the best possible use case for it. There shouldn't be that many more turns left in the mission once we get into like later rooms, so expecting the wounds to tick down forever is a bit optimistic, and like it's just, you know, it's an okay card, but all the cards are at least okay. For Mukduk, who also is going to heal 2, I haven't done that yet, except it's actually 4. I decided to lose Fortitude. I don't think there are any enemies left on the mission with shield, so this is just, it's not a terrible card or anything, but again, all the cards are okay, right? And this is you know, it's a melee attack for 5 with crushing weight, which is not terrible at all. Sometimes I'll only be melee attacking for 4, but it's not an incredible card either. That's the long resting done, and now we will move on to round 7. I'm going to be grabbing a long rest with XCOM this turn. So weird to say X, I mean, whatever. Now that the Warden's Robes have been used, I feel like there's, you know, some value at least to long resting over short resting. And there's not like a huge downside. We're just going to pick up the rest of the loot in the room and get going. I'm starting to rethink. Can I rethink? I feel like I'm allowed to rethink. I actually do just want a short rest. Otherwise, other people are going to be like waiting for my Bone Shaper to get its act together, I feel like. Ooh, I've just realized a way that I can loot everything over there really quick. Okay, I think my Bone Shaper, let's see, move, summon, loot, 2 turns. Ooh, I'm pretty quick to pick up all the loot, actually. I have to work out how to pick up these two. I'll take a short rest. Lose Command the Wretched. Command the Wretched was my main way to potentially get my Drifters to perks, so I'm going to reroll that. Exploding Corpse. Did I even play it? I don't think I did. Well, came on the mission and tried its best. Great work out there, Exploding Corpse. Getting to play turns where I have a lot of cards in hand, but there aren't many enemies remaining, which, like, I don't think I've really played a turn like this before yet this campaign. It's really fun because I can be very flexible in my turns. Like I pretty much have an option for anything that the enemies can do here, I think. They are going slow and attacking 2 targets. Ironically, that might be the worst thing they can do for me. But it should still be fine. So I'm going to run in with my Drifter, who will also use Amulet of Life to be at full health. 1, 2, 3. It's not quite full health, but almost full health. We're going to run in with the bottom half of Deadly Shot. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then rather than using Prudent Preparation for Shield and Retaliate, I'll just use it for an attack for 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's your turn. Just Crushing Weight also advances. Straightforward. What's the loot? It's a coin. Okay, my Deathwalker has some fun things. I think my plan is I teleport to... Is there a way to have you not attack me? Yeah, you can be dead. Yeah, you can be dead. Okay, I'm just going to start by hitting it with Fluid Knight, I think. Ooh, no, I teleport first. We'll teleport to here. I'm already to pick up loot. And then I'm going to hit this with Fluid Knight, and I'm not just hitting it with Fluid Knight, I'm also consuming another shadow in order to hit it harder. So it's at 7 health. It is wounded, so 6 damage is enough here. Not the crit miss again. Okay, cool. That is 6 damage, exactly. And I get 2 experience in Channel Dark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 1 HP and will die to the wound proc. Perfect. And I get a loot token. And even though I have Slowpoke, move no more than 2 hexes on each turn, a teleport is not a move. 1 coin. Very cool. Next we have the Bone Shaper. So first up, my Wraith will go. It'll move forward 1. And do a little shoot here. It is unfortunately outside the range of the banner, but I rolled a +1. So that takes 2. They're both on 1 health. Okay, so I've already successfully killed everything. Yeah, the next thing to do is just pick up all the loot. So I'm gonna move 4 with my Bone Shaper up to here, I guess. And then I have a heal for 2. We'll say, oh, it's actually for 4 because I have darkness. You're on 7? Yeah, we'll say before I moved, I heal you, get an experience, consume the dark, and my Banner Spear is at full health. 1 more loot token. Another medal. So my Bone Shaper has a card. Grant one of your summons loot 1, which means loot all of the hexes. The hex you're in and all hexes in a 1 hex radius. So my Wraith will be able to pick up a couple of loot tokens next turn, maybe. Unless my Banner Spear is just doing it. I think my Banner Spear might be doing it already anyway. Speaking of Banner Spear, my Banner Spear is going to move 2. And then grant 2 allies within 2 range moves of 2. So we are getting one of these loot tokens. And I can give the Wraith a move. Do I want to really insist on picking up all the loot with my Bone Shaper to try to get 5 herbs as quickly as possible? It's a question. It's a thing I could do. I'll move the Wraith over there. And we have Driving Inspiration, which I'm just not going to play unless there's some, I guess, what if this is the last enemy to die, the scenario for closer? I mean, that's not how any of this works. Yeah, I just won't bother playing it. 1 loot token, and it is a coin. And then we've got 2 Algox archers moving. This one is at 1 health and dies to a wound. This one is at 1 health and dies to a wound. The map, as of the end of round 7, is clear. Although, is that 6 loot tokens on the ground? I think that's a pile of 3. So, I guess it's not entirely clear. There are only 9 cards left in the loot deck. I think I might exhaust the loot deck in this mission. I've never done that before. Wow. Round 8 is going to be a looting and preparing round. For a little bit of context, this is an escape mission, so I have to have all of my characters survive the mission. And I've played it once before. We need to get to like the end of this room, which is what it looks like on the map. This is no surprise. There is stuff between me and there. I don't remember exactly what it is. I would like to be out of this mission by like around 15 or 16 though, because if any of my characters exhaust, I lose the mission. And losing the mission is just kind of a pain. I would rather that didn't happen. If it does, and it probably will at some point in this campaign, you know, we can deal with it. It doesn't game over you or anything, but I would prefer to just win. So yeah, if I spend this round looting, I think that's fine. And then next turn we will open the door on round 9, get through this room hopefully by like the end of round 13, and then we don't have to kill everything in this room. We can just run out, especially given that like the loot deck's empty. So I'm actually at a point where killing stuff doesn't even do very much. So my Banner Spear goes first apparently. I didn't want my Banner Spear to go first. Hold on. Since there are no enemies, I feel no shame in reorganizing this stuff. What was I gonna do? I don't really know. I need a card that is lower initiative than what my Banner Spear is doing. Oh god, the lag. I guess I got distracted at some point and forgot that I was changing this. Alright, so my Banner Spear is not going first. My Banner Spear is in fact going 65, 40, 64. Okay, so first my Bone Shaper goes. Oh, my Bone Shaper's not even summoning. Okay, maybe I just decided it didn't work. Maybe that's why. Yeah, it turns out that that doesn't matter now. Okay, whatever. So the basic thing that my Bone Shaper is doing, it's very straightforward turn. I guess I'm not doing much in it, but I guess actually there's a lot of rule stuff going on. First off, my summons, when there are no enemies on the map, are allowed to move toward the person who summoned them. So my Wraith's going to move toward my Bone Shaper, and I'm going to use the bottom half of Eternal Torment to make my Wraith loot for me. Wait, what? There's a random item in this mission? I didn't know that. Whoa. Oh, 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 oh! Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, I didn't even know there was a random item in this mission. So what just happened is the loot deck had a random item in it, and I found it. And the random item that I got was Boots of Transference. I've never seen these before. They look really cool. When you spring a trap by entering its hex, you may apply its effects to a figure within 3 range instead of yourself. I mean, that includes enemies. So, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, sweet. So those just go onto the character who looted them, and the rule with these items is even if you couldn't equip them because like you already had other boots, you'd be allowed to use them for this mission. But then going forwards, they're kind of like in my Bone Shaper's item stash. And so I get to choose which items to bring to each mission before the mission begins. And I would usually bring these because those are... That's a very good item, is basically my opinion. Yeah, it's also an item that's lost on use, so we now have a reason to care about this renewing potion, although I gave it to the wrong person. I could maybe brew another one of them, because there will be some missions where I'm pretty eager to use this more than once. If you're on a mission where there are traps on the ground, this is just an incredibly good item. All right, awesome. Well, that was fun. I'm not doing anything else with my turn. Deathwalker. My Deathwalker is going to move to here. And that's the end of my Deathwalker's turn. I get loot. Ah. Speaking of wanting to make another one of those potions, Rockroot is, I believe, the ingredient that I needed to make another one of those potions. So, fascinating. That's my Deathwalker's turn. Drifter now. Drifter has a fun turn. We use the bottom half of Bloodletting to move to here. And I'm going to use the top half of Violent Inheritance, which is an attack for 1, which I'm not going to make, and then loot in 1 radius. So that picks up these 3 loot pouches and that loot pouch for my Drifter. My Drifter's retirement goal is Greed is Good. Have 80 plus 20 times prosperity level gold in your possession. So right now have 100 gold in your possession. And I've already got 32. So I'm hoping for some coins from this loot deck that I'm about to draw 4 cards from. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 coins. Got 2 metal, a lumber, and a hide. On the other hand, not like I'm upset about that at all. And then, have I done everything wrong? I've forgotten that I was meant to go in a different order. I don't think it matters. My Banner Spear is moving some allies 3 and, well, moving the banner 3. And then healing all allies for 1. I gain a experience for that. I heal you for 1. I heal you for 1. I take 2 damage. Overall, I did not actually increase the health of my party, but that's okay. My Banner Spear has ranged attacks, and my Drifter wants to be up front. My Bone Shaper uses health to summon. I played it kind of fast and loose with the like turn order and everything that turn, but since there are no enemies, it doesn't really make a big difference. We go to round 9. Going into round 9 here, I want to draw attention again to how few cards I have left. If you're confused, these are the cards that I didn't bring to the mission. Everybody has 3 cards that they like 3 more cards than they can bring to a mission at the start of a campaign. So those are the ones that I didn't bring. But yeah, my Deathwalker's hand is completely empty with 6 cards in draw piles. So, you know, we're starting to run out of stuff already. My Drifter is in a particularly iffy spot. I only have 7 cards total. I'm gonna have to rest next turn. Punisher's doing okay. Yeah, but we are definitely getting toward the part of the mission where I would like to be getting out of here soon. So I will start with my Drifter. I'm going to use the bottom half of Draining Arrows to open this door. It's a move for 3, and we are going to start with that. So we'll move 2 tiles and open a door, and then we'll have to see what happens. But that will happen next time, because I'm going to stop this video here. I think this is a good length for a video, and opening a door is an excellent stopping point. So next time for episode 4, we will be finding out if we can escape the rest of this mission, and then I'll probably have time to do the town phase as well in that one. I'll see you all next time.